I'm sitting here on Saturday afternoon contemplating what's happening in this country, but also around the world, and really trying to come up with the words to simply and succinctly describe what's happening right now. In the final equation, Black Lives Matter is run by George Soros, the Ford Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, and other admitted globalist organizations that are dedicated to creating racial divide, balkanization, and divide and conquer. And what's frustrating is that's their admitted histories. That's who they are. The groups that run all the so-called university study systems that are supposedly pushing equality are creating cult-like manipulation of language and control of thought and discourse, and is the most anti-liberal, anti-human garbage the world's ever seen. It is the robber baron answer that they developed over 100 years ago on record. This is historical fact, to counter the Renaissance, to counter the Enlightenment, to counter true liberalism, aka Thomas Jefferson. They had to create this system. And I want to just say something to people of all races or religions or ethnicity regions. What I'm talking about right now is not my opinion. The establishment thinks you're so stupid. They've written countless textbooks admitting the social engineering they're involved in. And I'm not reaching out to people that are already awake today. I mean, I'm reaching out to you to spread the word and try to stop the globalists causing a civil war. But I'm really speaking to folks that are kind of just bought in to whether it's white racism or black racism or Hispanic racism, tribalism, whatever, to understand that all of that is real at a certain base level. As humans, we are tribal, but that's being artificially controlled, and that all of us collectively are having our futures stolen. Humanity is awakening worldwide to globalism, to technocracy, to mega banks that are tax exempt and above the law. The world's awakening to the fact that there are corporate combines that want to create scarcity and poverty to control us. This is their own admitted program. This is Agenda 21. And for someone like myself who really believes in humanity, who really wants to empower everybody, as long as it isn't at some other innocent person's expense, it is so obvious what's going on. And I just want to see that collective light come on and people not be under this trance, under this delusion, under this deception. Usually I shoot these videos on the weekend and I sit there and show you news articles as I talk about them. You can go to Infowars.com and see our produced reports and crew members in Dallas and around the country covering things. I'm just going to lay out what's happening. You can go look it up for yourself. Obama, Hillary Clinton, Jesse Jackson, Michael Moore, all the usual suspects, but then Google and Facebook and Microsoft and Apple have giant banners on their offices saying Black Lives Matter after this happened that were already ready to be rolled out. Obama gave 4 speeches in the week before the shooting, decrying that blacks are being attacked by police and the discrimination is the worst ever. Hillary comes out and says it's white people and white cops' fault what happened in Dallas. That's the establishment. Hillary Clinton is the most cold-blooded person you can imagine. Al Gore and people literally owned the factories in China where they have suicide nets and forced abortions and mobile execution vans. They don't care about human rights. Our elite put Mao Zedong in power in 1949. That's declassified. He killed 80 plus million Chinese. I see numbers on average of 258 blacks killed a year by police. If all of it was unjustified shootings, that's not even a blip on a radar screen for the amounts of deaths in this country. 10,000 plus people fall in their showers and hit their heads. Over 500 blacks get killed a year in Chicago alone by other black people. No one cares. This isn't about defending the police either. The point is that it's a totally artificial establishment weaponization to create division in this country. And they're doing the same stuff in Europe with ethnic groups they brought in there. And you have to ask yourself why. What are they doing? If you really sit back and look at it, it is meant to absolutely demonize black people. Because for emotional, young, whites, blacks, Hispanics, it doesn't matter, who believe MTV, who are uninformed, yeah, they think cops are killing black people every 5 minutes. They think that it's all unjustified. They think that this is just terrible. And you're kind of merging the drug culture and the criminal culture, now, in a way, projecting it onto the youth culture. And this is really to criminalize the whole generation of youth and to get blacks particularly to induct themselves into a failed culture that is totally illogical. The average cop isn't one to kill some innocent person. That'll ruin their career bare minimum, even if they were a sociopath. The numbers are so small, but projected that they're so big. You look at why the major corporations are pushing this, it's because they want to have political diversions. They want to create white guilt so white populations go along with the globalist agenda. But more importantly, the police aren't going anywhere. They want to brand young black people as the enemy. And when I'm talking about the police doing this, but the social engineers, the police are pawns in this as well. When you look at all the major establishment publications and Viacom and MTV and CNN and ABC and Facebook and Google saying, it's the fault of the police, we need to reform them. When the cops were just killed, their bodies aren't even cold yet. And they deserve it. That is so logical, people of every race, color, and creed watching this who hate the mainstream media that has a 6% trust rate in an AP poll, now are going to put black people in with the government that's totally distrusted and hated, and the media. And so they take the whole revolution against the corrupt globalists who've taken over the nation, and they project it onto the media that's meant to take the fall. They know what they're doing. And then to sit there and defend Black Lives Matter and what they're pushing and all their connections to the White House. The KKK couldn't dream of doing something this horrible to black people. I mean, it's so obvious when you study psychological warfare, propaganda, all this stuff. It's a formula. But then there's a whole nother level to this. Where is all this leading? Because mainstream TV, even Fox, lionizes the dead police. But then goes, well, we better do something about the cops. Yeah, as if random cops in another state, in another city, are at fault for what some cop might have done that was wrong. I mean, it's just a death of logic. And I see the media legitimizing this to really make this explode on a wider scale. And then I realized, my God, I was warned by Justice Department insiders 4 years ago that Obama, right after he was going to be reelected, was going to push in the final year of his final term to basically cause a type of soft martial law or civil emergency. And we interviewed some of the sources as well. And now I'm actually seeing it come true. And it's so surreal. And there's like this vitriol in young whites particularly that are kind of virtue signaling with young urban blacks and others. Like this is, they're getting their stripes, their manhood, they're counting coup, they're going on the warpath, they're going out and talking about killing the pigs and all of this. It's just a corruption of logic and a corruption of society, and will then be used to further militarize the police, make them even more paranoid, make them even more violent, bringing us into the ongoing cultural collapse of America. So it'd be easy for me to just get up here and show you articles of Hillary, saying it's white people's fault. And then say how horrible, or look at Microsoft, or look at Facebook, or look at Google. But look, everybody out there is smart enough if they just sit back for a minute, take a breath and think. Google, Facebook, all that CIA government funded and run, on record, it's not even debated. They meet at the White House every week. It's all staged. It's all scripted. And you sit there and you realize, my God, they've put a black attorney general in, a black president. They've got the whole thing scripted. Hundreds of movies and TV shows out showing blacks being abused and oppressed throughout history to create this feeling of being socially wounded to try to cause a civil unrest race war in this country. But it's beyond that. It's bringing back all the old wounds just to continue them into the future and then have the government be basically the managers, the referees over the societal downfall. And then it's going to take two different groups of people in the so-called white community. It's going to make some whites even more bizarre, even more vitriolic with social justice warrior, mental illness, ban words, control speech, brainwash your kids. It'll make them get more cultic following the Democrats, just hoping somehow this fixes everything. More Jim Jones, type cult stuff. But then other groups of whites that were never racist and really do want to just deal with folks on the basis of what they stand for and what they produce and who they are. As Martin Luther King said, and it's just going to make them totally, completely entrench and turn against that and then back the police state and back the system, believing that's the only hope they've got. And when you look at that dialectic of divide and conquer, and you look at that broken coalition stratagem as a chess player, and you just go, my God, I can go read textbooks to see where they've done this in other countries. I can go read psychological warfare manuals that have been declassified and see where this has been done before, but at a new 21st century level sophistication, and it's scary. Now, I'll be live on the radio tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. I'm coming in, and we've got my good friend, former city council member, and patriot, best-selling author, George Humphrey, will be in studio talking about what's happening. But I just talked to him 5 minutes before we shot this video, and he said, this is definitely it. The great global awakening is happening right now, and this is the establishment's plan worldwide to stop it, to just make everybody fight with each other. Europe's waking up to the euro. They're going to pull out of the tyrannical group. You just ship in 5 million radical Muslims and have them start raping and killing, and you start protecting them, and it just causes a total breakdown. You've got every week or so a cop scared or crazy shoot somebody who's innocent. Instead of going, okay, that only happens a couple hundred times a year max. It's bad, but is it the end of the world? No. Most of the cops get charged or whatever. It is just meant to, again, totally and absolutely discredit inner city communities, have them buy into a false template that they see the mainstream media pushing. So they think, oh, it's true. People finally care about us. People finally care about our plight, the economic issues, the profiling, some of the real harassment that goes on. We're finally getting the establishment media to recognize us. No, they're setting you up to make it 50 times worse. When I say 50 times worse, I mean that. Black Lives Matter is globalist run, it's a psyop, and it's there to literally destroy your future and to make sure that you are compartmentalized and kept on a government reservation on government welfare with your families broken up to destroy what little future you've got left. And the beta test that's been done in the black community is being moved on everywhere. It is true that blacks are targeted. It is true they're unfairly treated. It is true they've been poisoned and drugged, and the prostitutes and the drugs and everything was only allowed in your community so that it could be controlled. That's why so many liberal blacks go, you used to tell the truth about all the stuff we've been through. Why do you do this now? Why don't you stand with us? Some of the most famous civil rights leaders out there. And I just look at them and I just say, I'm the same person I always was. I'm against that psyop and I'm against this psyop. I'm not so emotional as the fact I'm going to be sucked in and manipulated. I get emotional in my delivery sometimes, but I intellectually came to the decisions and the analysis that I put forward. And look, I've proven I've done my scholarly duty. I've also been in the streets. I know what I'm talking about. I got my finger on the zeitgeist. And that's why Infowars.com, the last 2 days since this tragic event, has had 6 times the traffic it's ever had. And it's why governments and police agencies, but also civil rights groups, we can see the IP addresses, they are flooding in more than anybody, more than CNN, more than Fox, because they know that we know what we're talking about. I want you to succeed no matter what color you are or where you came from. But if you want to be organized by the globalists in some type of racial group in the name of fighting how you've been racially treated bad, you got to know that's a strategy designed to fail. And when you pull back from this and see that the globalist social engineers are attacking everybody, then you see how they're attacking the police by the training they gave them, the federal policing, the instinctive shooting, everything they did, and then they set them up for a greater fall and then come in with the UN monitors with the strong cities. They're setting up the black communities. They're setting up all the communities because it's full spectrum dominance by the technocrats who think of us as little animals while they play us off. I've researched the technocrats. I know their game plan. I'm giving you their playbook. This is not my opinion. You can say maybe 2 or 3% is my take on the facts, my perspective, but you cannot disagree with my basic analysis. Now, are we all smart enough to get past the emotion? I'm ashamed of the racist comments from black people, white people, Hispanics, all fighting with each other. It's like a third of the comments when this stuff happens on InfoWars. And I'm not ashamed of InfoWars, since that's happening on all the comment boards. I'm ashamed as a human that we aren't smart enough to transcend this and get past this. And that we let the people that are managing the supposed system, they're trying to fix this, we let them run things when we know they're out to divide and conquer us and admit they're doing it and are obviously doing it. I don't care what some random cop does somewhere. You don't have a right to go shoot a cop just because some other cop might have done something wrong. Just like if some black guy does something wrong to a white person, you don't have a right to go shoot some other random black guy in another state. It's just a damn war on logic. But the mainstream media is pushing it as social engineering. And I sit there watching them manipulating everybody like a scientist, manipulating gerbils or something, in a cage. And it's just fundamentally makes me sick. They are turning up the heat to confuse everybody as they bring in this world government system. Now is the time to not just debate all the fake systems and paradigms and issues they bring in, but to see that it's a larger program of control and to pull back and disconnect from the little issues themselves, like the globalists do cold-bloodedly, and realize that, okay, a lot of these issues have real points and real emotional facts to them, but outside of this stricture, it is controlled. And it's that awakening, it's that transcendence, it's that enlightenment, it's that raising above it is when you, as Buckley said before we shot this video, you don't know exactly what the Great Awakening will be exactly, but you see the sun coming up behind the mountains. Even before you see the sun itself, the light has already filled the horizon, and it's here. And what you're seeing is evil people that have hijacked the world's control slipping, so they're getting more and more aggressive in their programs, which I believe and know will end up ultimately backfiring on them if this is so important, in closing, if good men and women take action. All that evil men and tyrants need to flourish is that good men and women do nothing, to quote Thomas Jefferson. I fundamentally am too prideful, too honorable, too good to want to sit back and dumb people down and use this information to control them so I could rule over them and have a bigger house. But see, most people will sell out to the establishment, will play games, because the elite put out a message of cultural disinformation that's so ugly with Black Lives Matter and others that everyone then fundamentally turns against them and joins with the globalist, not knowing culturally, psychically, spiritually, they've now joined with the godfather of that horrible little thing we're looking at. I look at the swollen, stupid, arrogant babies. There's photos of them up on Infowars.com of Black Lives Matter. And I mean, these are mentally stunted dumbasses who are meeting with the Justice Department and being encouraged to go out and foment stuff. And we've got Loretta Lynch up there talking about, yeah, it's too bad these cops got killed, but we've got to reform things. That'll fix things. I mean, this is their toying with having the cities burned down and having us capitulate to the UN. You know, that's the geopolitical overarching system, and then just create the next generation of infighting and crap. Multiculturalism is a disease to destroy all of our cultures and make the globalists define what acceptable culture is and then homogenize us. How's following liberalism and big government worked out for the communities that have been involved with it for 60 years? You judge a tree by its fruits. And when LBJ said he would break up the black family and destroy them and turn them into slaves and put them on a modern plantation, he's out there just 30 miles from where I sit out of his old ranch in a coffin. How'd that work out for old LBJ? Well, as a Klansman, it worked out damn well for him. See, the real Klan knows how to hurt you real bad. And they're about political control of everybody, including the white people. Now, this isn't a KKK conspiracy, but the modern system we see was turned loose and set up because they segregated black people and it made them create their own strong, independent communities. I'm not defending segregation. The point is it made them stronger. What you see today is going to make everybody weaker. In fact, the oppression I've dealt with in my life, which has been pretty amazing, only made me stronger. When people try to suppress me, block me, I only fight harder. But getting people to all be how they're oppressed, they're all this, oh, there's a racist here, there's a comment there, turns you into a frickin' basket case. Modern feminism, it's all the same crap. And we should emancipate ourselves and free ourselves from it. That's all I'm saying. But kissing Black Lives Matter's butts and being politically correct and banning events and not having costume parties because it might hurt somebody's feelings, that just leads us into mind control. And so I brazenly challenge political correctness and stupid black racists and everybody else and tell you, just go to hell. I'm proud of the West. The West is leading the world out of the Stone Age. But there are evil people that have hijacked the West and are using it to bring the whole world into a new era of ignorance. Infowars.com/show for all the free feeds, Infowars.com for all the news. I'm going to file a more concise report dealing with where all this is going and an alert on how they're trying to cause a civil war. But this big report will also be posted on Facebook. Please get it out to everybody you know, because this is the secrets of Black Lives Matter.